Hello, everybody. I think we might be live. A very warm welcome to you all as supporters of England Rugby Travel. It's lovely to see you. Obviously, not a lot that we can help you with in terms of getting to games at the moment, but as part of the club, it's only right that we give you a little bit of behind-the-scenes access, and it's a very warm welcome to Eddie Jones. Nice to see you. How are you?
Very well, thanks, mate. Yourself? Not as well as you, though.
Well, I'm afraid, yeah, a little bit of fake and bake. Dan looks good as we roll through the month. Well done. A good week's work last week. Have you had a chance to raise a glass and sit back and relax, or is it park it and move on to the next challenge? How much celebrating did you get to do?
No, we had a good night after the game on Saturday night, cheering on firstly France and then Ireland. So we had to change allegiance. So that was good fun. We had actually a nice setting in the hotel on a balcony. So it was a good old-fashioned team together, no distractions type night.
Good. Was it a nervous day for you? Did you find it quite an uncomfortable experience, or is it just part and parcel of the job that you do?
No, it wasn't that uncomfortable. Look, the difficult thing for us was that we only had the players from Tuesday. We had the whole squad from Tuesday, so we're trying to put a team together. Train Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday's off. Friday, you're basically just starting the engine again. It's like rolling the car out of the garage. So we had 2 days to prepare and try to come up with a game. And, when I look back at the game, it looks like we are a team that's just come together. So I was really pleased with the attitude of the players, because Italy had obviously had a 5 or 6 week prep for that game. They used the Ireland game as a warm-up for us. They wanted to make a dent at home, and a small loss for them at home is like a win for them. So, we got through a sticky period for 20 minutes in the first half, and, apart from that, we played some good, tough rugby, and you get a bit of luck, mate. Sometimes you get it and sometimes you don't. And we got a bit of luck, so we've got the trophy, and the next job is to win the Autumn Cup.
Good. It moves pretty fast at this point of the year, doesn't it? Just, I suppose, a couple of thoughts from you on particularly the debutants. Was it 4 debutants in all? How pleased were you with how they went, and how did they perform in the song that they will have to sing afterwards? Anyone stand out in that regard?
Yeah, it's the most unusual dressing room after the game. We've got a 100 capper, a 50 capper, and 4 new caps. I don't think I've ever experienced that before. And the 4 new caps were all on at the end of the game, and part of a Six Nations winning side. Singing-wise, I think probably Ollie Lawrence stole the show, and probably Dunny was. If there was an X Factor, he would have got the gong. But they were all very happy, and it's such a great moment for them. And the 4 of them were still wearing their caps on Sunday,
which is good to see. And a word on Jamie and Ben as well, passing the 50 and the 100 milestones. I mean, people talk about going through World Cup cycles, but how important do those two remain to what you're doing at the moment?
Oh, look, both of them are massively important. And the great thing, they're both still young men. There's 29, 30, physically in great nick and can only get better. Great desire. Both of them went through 2015, which was a difficult World Cup for them. 2019 will be in their memory their whole lives. Losing the final, you never get away from that. So there's plenty of motivation for them to keep going. And, we've seen with New Zealand, it took them almost 3 cycles to win their first World Cup since '87. So, they're in a good position to kick forward. And the only thing that can stop them is if their desire falls off for some reason or the other, which happens, or they get a serious injury. So, we're really looking forward to those 2 guys getting better.
Yeah. Good to hear that someone's hoovering in the background as well, tidying up.
The printer's calibrating itself, mate, for some reason.
What is it?
The printer's calibrating itself for some reason.
Everyone needs a calibrated printer. Let's let that crack on. What I was going to ask you, because I'd love to talk about Autumn Nations Cup and everything that's to come, but as far as supporters go, it's been quite a tough experience, I suppose, 2020 for everybody, and sport has been a microcosm of that. How have you found the year? How have you kept yourself busy and on your toes? And what have you been doing to keep yourself on your A game?
Yeah, no, it's been a great opportunity to try to become a good coach. Just this morning I spent 45 minutes with Rick Charlesworth, who's probably the most celebrated hockey coach in the world. And just I felt like a little schoolboy sitting in front of him, trying to pick his brains about momentum and vulnerability. We had the period of the first 16 minutes of the game where we had all the momentum, 10-0, we dropped one pass, miss one tackle, and it's 10-5, and then they start to get a bit of a buzz about them. We drop off a little bit, and one of the things we're trying to coach is how we get out of that situation quicker. Like we ended up getting out of it because you can't dominate a whole game. It's impossible. That the other opposition are going to have bits and pieces of the game, but it's how you handle those bits and pieces. And as it was, they had a lot of field position, but only got 5 points. We were down to 14 men, so we handled it pretty well, but we want to handle it better in the future. So that's all part of just trying to learn how to coach better.
Which is fascinating. So when you get together with someone like Rick, have you got 1,000 questions, or are you debating with him? How does something like that play out? I'm interested to know how you learn.
No, Rick's got a book called The World's Best, so I defer to him all the time. No, he's a great fellow. We've chatted a lot over the last period of time. He's a bit of an icon to me. We went out last year before the World Cup. Steve Borthwick and I spent a whole day with him, and he was just absolutely fascinating and really helped us with our World Cup prep. He's a guy. He won 2 World Cups 2 gold medals as a coach and 2 gold medals as a player. So he's got some serious winning mythology about him.
That is quite impressive. Who are the other people that you've enjoyed bouncing off and picking up bits from?
Oh, well, funnily, another hockey coach, Danny Carey, who's really smart operator. Had a great chat to Gareth Southgate about their experiences in the bubble, the good and bad of it, and picked up a few points because it's all new for us. We haven't experienced this before. Players haven't experienced it before, and you can only keep learning. Dave Brailsford, I managed to have a couple of meetings with him, and again, very foremost thinker of how to put together a sports team. They've been lucky enough to be part of this leaders group where you get people from all around the world. General manager of New York Yankees, Brian Cashman. It's been absolutely fascinating, mate. Good period of time to learn, but then you got to put it into practice. And one of the good things I enjoyed about our Italy preparation, psychologically we got it right. It was a tough game for us because we're expected to win, and they're always the most difficult games.
That leaders group sounds fascinating. Have you got your eye on, I imagine it's quite powerful networking. Have you got your eye on any positions post the 2023 World Cup? Would you fancy a crack at the New York Yankees or, I don't know, LA Lakers?
No. Well, I'd love to go to the USA Rugby and see what we could do there. See if we can give them a bit of a kick along because they might get the 31 World Cup. So wouldn't that be great for World Rugby if the USA were another Japan? You had another country batting for the top 8 in the world. Because it's been, I played a little part in Japan's rise, but Jamie Joseph and Tony Brown did a fantastic job at the last World Cup, and to see Japan in the top 8 in the world is incredible, isn't it? And it just adds a different flavour. We'd love to see Fiji battering down the door. We'd love to see the USA battering down the door, and it just lifts all those countries who are 5 to 8 to go to another gear, and then they lift the 1 to 4 countries to go to another gear. Because one of the things I'd love to see in the game at the moment would be a set of new skills come into the game. You look at 2020 cricket and what it's done for Test match cricket. You see number 10 batsman for England now reverse sweeping. Like previously, your best batsman in the world couldn't reverse sweep 20 years ago. So imagine if rugby started to develop a new set of skills, particularly in attack where it's been suffocated at the moment, isn't it? Attack's so difficult with the methodology and the aggression and the physical capabilities of defence to try to break it open. So that's a bit of a challenge for us going forward.
Good. I'm not here to plug the World 10 Series, but you should have a little look at it. They've got some quite good innovations in it. So instead of a 2-point conversion every time, you're able to gamble your conversion from where you take it from. So if you take it from halfway, you get 5 points. If you take it from bang in front, you get 1. And one of the other things that
they immediately get a suspension for gambling.
What's that?
Do they get suspended for gambling?
Quite possibly. I'm not quite sure what the protocol is on that. But one of the other things they were thinking of doing to try and develop players across the board is the try scorer kicks. So I just wondered if you had to say Joe Marler or Ellis Genge trundles over from the back of the line out, they would have to stick the ball down and go. Which of your forwards at the moment would be most multi-talented in that facet? Do any of the forwards? Do any of the big forwards practice goal kicking?
The only one I have seen is Alex Ombrand, so we might have to get him back in the squad. I've seen him kick a little bit. Billy, no, he generally eats everything after training, so we haven't got him goal kicking. I couldn't imagine Billy goal kicking. He doesn't have that subtle touch, does he?
No, headed a long way, but not necessarily in the right direction. I think we've got a lot of 4 left with that. How have you kept your boys entertained and together? I mean, it's been quite a hot topic given the unfortunate incident around the Barbarians. But how have you kept everyone on the same page and spirits up?
Yeah, well, it's up to the senior players. That's their role to do. We provide the environment for them. We're lucky enough. We've got Red Bull as a sponsor now, and they've set up a games room, which is unexpectedly decorated with Red Bull everywhere, but the boys love it. It's a great entertainment centre. We've got a cafe. We've set up our own cafe within the bubble. We've now just put in a simulated golf range where the players can play any golf course in the world. And golf's become a bit of a popular sport for rugby players at the moment with the lockdown. So we just try to keep it fresh, and then they've got to entertain themselves. And we try not to run a day that's any different from what we normally have, so we don't try to fill in stuff after dinner. That's their free time. We've got a great setting here, nice communal areas, and then they've got the privacy of their own rooms.
Where are you spending your time? Are you playing FIFA? Are you making coffee, or are you working on your backswing?
No, I just got a set of golf clubs from the Zuno, so I'm gonna start having a swing. I'm thinking about going out to the field and trying to chip from one dead ball to the other. We'll see how we go. So if you see people getting hit in Teddington, you know why.
Extra insurance. We'll look forward to seeing how that progresses. Conscious of time, etc. So talk to us a little bit about Autumn Nations Cup. Is it a chance to try things? Is it just about victory? What do you want to get out of the next few months?
We would just want to keep progressing the side, keep on the team getting better, get better a little bit each day. We've got 4 new caps. How many more new caps we introduce will just be dependent on the performance of players at training. This is the biggest squad I've ever had in camp. We've got 36 players because of the COVID regulations. We have to carry a few more, so there's plenty of space for competition, and we'll just see how it progresses. We've got no pre-designed strategy in terms of selection. We want our game. We need to add the ability to attack quicker when the defence is more disorganised. So we've started that a little bit, and we'll hopefully progress that during the tournament.
Can I ask you, and particularly given that we've got supporters joining us and really passionate England fans, how weird has it been playing in venues like the Stadio Olimpico, etc., and what's to come at Twickenham without anybody there? Has that changed things for you?
It's changed the winning percentage of home teams. It's down about 8%, and the significant thing is that the home teams get less penalties, which we all know that was a factor. We've all known that. People are loath to say it because they're implying that the referees aren't fair, but it's not. The referees are human beings. We all get affected by the environment we're in, and a referee gets affected by the home crowd. So that's made it easier for the away teams, undoubtedly, because you get a fairer go at the penalty count. In terms of the players, really haven't heard them discuss it at all. And we've tried to create the idea or the concept that the energy will come from themselves. They should never rely on other people for energy. And we're working on that pretty hard. And that's going to be even more important when we get back to Twickenham, which I think is probably going to be the most difficult place for our players, where they're you walk out on I would imagine, I haven't had the luxury of doing, but walk out in the stadium, you hear that roar of 82,000 people. That's quite incredible. So we'll have to work hard to overcome that, mate. And, we miss our fans greatly, and we can't wait for the day until they get in there again.
I was going to say, one of the, I suppose, well, from your perspective, one of the shames is that the media still are able to dial in and chat to you over Zoom like this, but you don't necessarily have those interactions with the supporters. What would be your call to arms for those people? How can people who can't get to the game anymore support the team best in your view?
Oh, just hang tough. We're all got to hang tough at the moment, don't we? And keep watching the games. Support as hard as you can when you're at home, and we'll feel your energy.
That's good to hear. Have you got any sort of views on when things might start coming back again? I mean, are you talking to authorities about Six Nations? Might it shuffle in the diary a little bit? What sort of insight have you got? Or you just take each game as it comes, as we read on page 17 of the magazine?
I heard a lovely quote the other day. I was reading Arsene Wenger's book, and he said, he pictures himself going to heaven. He gets up there and he gets a question, and whoever's in charge of heaven says to him, what did you do, sir? And he says, I just tried to win football games. And the Jesus or God says to him, you didn't do anything else than that? And he says, no. And the same with me, mate. Like, I'm just lucky enough to coach. I don't worry about all those other things. They'll sort themselves out. I'm
glad you're going to heaven.
Well, that's yet to be decided.
Well, yeah, I didn't say that. Good. So, and so what about the next 12 months or so? I mean, what does success look like for you over the next 12 months?
Yeah, well, the next 12 months for us is hard. Having experienced before, we've got the Six Nations, so we've got 8 nations, then basically we have a month's break and we're back in the Six Nations, which is, going to be tough again. Ireland will want revenge. Wales are going through a sticky period. France are on the rise. Scotland are starting to do well. And Italy, found a 10, which is going to make them stronger going forward with that young Gabrisi, who looks like a real talent. So that's going to be a tough comp. And then we're off to USA, Canada, and possibly one other test without the Lions. And then we know that then that autumn series is a difficult one for us, because we're hopeful they have 20 players on the Lions tour and they're not in a great physical state. So it's almost like we look at it from a planning point of view as a bit of a transformation year, where the senior players we don't really have the best of, and we won't use them maybe all the time, and we need to bring some of the younger guys through. So that's why, you're talking about the Autumn Cup. We don't need to be urgent in doing that, because next year actually brings us that opportunity to do it. Last time I think we discovered Curry, Underhill on that tour to Argentina, so they're 2 pretty handy blokes. And if we find 2 more in Canada and USA, we'll be cock-a-hoop.
That's good to hear. What about this? I suppose the health of England's garden at the moment. I mean, we've got a double champion in Exeter. We've got Bristol winning the champions, not the Challenge Cup, excuse me. We've got England's women as Six Nations Grand Slam champions. You've obviously won the tournament as well. How heartening is it from your perspective? And does it make your job easier to be picking from riches, or is it not? Is the club game not as big a factor as perhaps others might think?
The club game's enormous for us, mate, because you get players who are used to winning, and that's absolutely significant, because they want to win. They like winning. They've beaten all the other players in Europe, and they come with a really positive mindset. So we've had that with Saracens, and now we've got it with Exeter players. So that's really important for us. But the health of rugby is so transitional. You can be the healthiest team in the world, and you can lose a couple of players, something goes astray. And, it gives the other countries a real drive to be better. 12 months ago, or 18 months ago, everyone was saying that about Ireland, how healthy they are. And now if you're a doctor and you visited Ireland, maybe the diagnosis would be a bit differently. So you can never be complacent or smug or satisfied. You just got to keep moving forward and keep seeing how you can get better.
On that note, who for you has shown the most growth amongst your squad over the last 12, 18 months? Who are the guys who've really stepped up for you, and who are those that you think will do the same over the next 18 months?
Oh, Johnny May's been incredible, mate. Incredible. I thought he scored 2 tries on the weekend because of the amount he ran. He ran the highest we've ever seen from a player in high-speed running, ever. And it was all chasing kicks. Fantastic effort. And he just continues to grow in our team. He's one of those guys we go to for inspiration.
Has he worked on his scrummaging as well? Did I see him pack down in one scrum?
He knows where to put his arm now, mate. So Matt Brownfoot's done a great job there. No, he did a couple of scrums during the week, and he was our call on if someone got sin bit. So he's been massively impressive for us. Slade continues to grow. He was magnificent for Exeter and showed some nice touches on the weekend. Didn't get many opportunities. Tom Curry's, when he grows up, he's going to be some player. And he's got that. He's certainly not Richie McCaw, but he's got that hardness and drive about him to want to be the best. And Carl Sinclair is going to be a special tight head. He's unique, that he's got a set of skills that most tight heads don't have. And he's still very young in terms of his game development, so there's a lot of growth in him.
I did something with Tom Curry the other day, who I think his sister had dyed quite a lot of his hair, particularly at the front, and he was rather nervous about turning up at England training and what you were going to make of that. Has he cut it all out?
So he should be.
Right.
I don't think he had a few locks and a bit of colour, but we let that go. When he trains as hard, he can have any colour hair. Like if he came with red hair, as long as he trains hard and works hard like he does, he's such a good boy. Great boy. Good.
He really is, and he's doing well. Conscious of time, it's been lovely to chat. It's been hugely appreciated, I know, by all the supporters of England Rugby Travel. A quick sort of, what have we got on the to-do list today? Obviously, you're printing out CVs and popping those over to the States. What else is going on today?
No, we've got a big meeting day today. So the staff come in. They're all starting to come in now, and we've got a planning meeting for the staff. Then the coaches meeting will start on our Georgia preparation. Then maybe the staff will have a couple of quiet drinks tonight and relax. And then the players come in tomorrow, so it's all go.
Is it first day of school? I mean, it's not first day of school because they've been back, but do they come flying in? How do they reassemble? I'm always fascinated with how everyone gets back together.
It is like first day of school. Like I know tonight I won't sleep very well. And when I lose that feeling, I'll stop coaching because tomorrow's an important day. We get it right, so our planning of meetings, our planning of training's got to be spot on. I want to see a smile on the players' faces. We've got players. Billy's had a baby this week. Anthony Watson's had a baby.
Oh, he had what did he have?
Billy, a little boy. It shouldn't be little. It's a boy. Yeah. Boy. So it's lovely. And the squad's getting that nice stage where the players, these young guys who are, quite loose and fancy, and now got the responsibility of being parents, and it's a nice maturation of the team at the moment, and that's why again we need these young guys coming in and pushing them to be even better. So it is like first day at school. Everyone comes in, smile on their face, a bit nervous, not knowing what's going to happen, where they are in terms of selection, and we're all a bit nervous too because we want to do a good job for them.
Brilliant. Well done, Mrs. Billy. On a number of levels. Eddie, it's been lovely to chat. Thank you so much for giving us your time. And on behalf of England Rugby Travel, obviously we wish you all the very best. We'll look forward to seeing you back in action soon and doing what you do best. But all the best to you and the fellas. Thanks, Eddie.
Thanks, Alex. I'm envious of that suntan, mate.
I'm on the sunbed in about 2.5 minutes time. So right. I'll send some rays your way.
Enjoy it, mate. Cheers. Bye.
So as Eddie goes training and to get ready for another busy day with the England players, let's move rooms. I love this cyber networking. It's great, isn't it? Bringing you good on here, who will be very familiar to everyone at England Rugby Travel. How are you, first of all? You're very ice white. There's a wonderful background you got going. You look like you're sort of someone very chic and she, which should be expected. Are you just chilling at home?
I'm just at home, and funnily enough, for the first time in about 6 months, actually quite quiet. So my daughter's at school, and my little one, Ruby, is now 9 months old. My wife and daughter have gone for a little stroll. Well, she's not strolling, but she's in the pushchair, being pushed around, catching some fresh air. So I'm actually quite enjoying a bit of space and a bit of calm at home. And you're in Bermuda, where it's all kicking off. How's life there?
Sorry about that. Do you know, in what has been a pretty average year across the board, I am very aware that 2.5 weeks in Bermuda makes me incredibly lucky. But frankly, I'm just going to take it. I was actually chatting with Eddie just before we started recording, actually, just saying a little island in the North Atlantic with some sunshine and a bit of rugby and beaches, and is pretty much the perfect cupboard to be sitting in right now, you know, given what everything else that's going on in the US and Brexit and COVID, etc. Anyway, we're not here to talk about the ills of the world. Let's talk about some of the positives, really. How have you been? How have you found the last 12 months? I mean, you are the busiest man in rugby, but
do you know what? Hey, it's been tough. It has been tough, but there's been loads of positives come out of it. Number one, I had my second and last daughter, but just like 3 weeks before lockdown.
Is that second and last because you're going to have a boy, or is that just second and last?
Done. So we had Ruby on my wife's birthday, which is the 7th of February, a week before Valentine's. And she said, "What are we going to do for Valentine's?" I said, "I don't know what you're doing, but I'm getting this. I'm done." Like,
How romantic.
Yeah, two's great. And do you know what? It's great to be blessed, but I think there's sometimes you can be too blessed. And I don't want to be too blessed. I'm happy with this level of blessing. Let's put it that way. You know, I don't want to be outnumbered, and it's great. So genuinely, being at home and being able to spend time with my daughters was amazing, because after our first one, I had 2 weeks off and I went back to work, and I thought that was normal, but that's just not. And being able to be a full-time dad has been amazing. There's been times where I've just wanted to do anything but be a dad and not be at home and get out and just like occupy my mind otherwise. But generally it's been okay, and it's given me a bit of time to focus on a few other different things. So yes, it's been tough, but there's also been some deep-rooted blessings in there as well.
What's really irritating is you look incredibly well on two, one of which is 9 months. I don't know whether you're moisturising daily around the crow's feet, but you look better than I feel, having had 2 weeks in the sunshine.
That's weird. Alcohol, I'd say. No, late nights. Sorry.
We're a family show, so we'll
drinking responsibly
on the go. What I was going to say actually is just how weird has it been doing what you do in empty stadiums, and how much are you missing supporters as part of the day job?
Do you know, it's there's kind of two parts to it, Alex. Like, I've probably, from a broadcasting sense, never felt closer to the game. And by that I mean, because you can hear every single conversation on the pitch, like you just can. And when certain things happened, I can say, because I can hear them talking about this or they're about to implement that. But our game, if people have, we always say like the game's nothing without its fans, and it's turned into this cliche without any real meaning. I think the last 6 months is given it its meaning, because it's really exposed the fact that the game is nothing without its fans. At club level, because there was so many games, Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, you just get used to it. And then you hit European final, Premiership final. And it's not just the fans, it's who those fans are. So for Jack Noel to win a European and Premiership double and to not have his wife and kids and mother and father there, that's really sad. For Johnny Hill a week later to get his test debut for England and win a Six Nations and to not have them there. So it's not just fans, you can put faces and pictures to those fans. They really mean something to those players, and we know it means a lot to the fans. So the Six Nations, watching that last weekend, it felt empty. It felt soulless, and not just the 80 minutes. The week in the build up to it, you wouldn't have known it was a big weekend for rugby where England, Ireland, and France could have won it, because a lot of the Six Nations, the passion for me anyway, is the migration of tens of thousands of fans going across, that tribalism that follows with it, the planning and booking of restaurants and hotels and how you get into the stadium and all of that, and what fancy dress are you going to wear as a middle-aged man, that and you shouldn't wear it, but you should wear it that weekend because it's fun and it's the only time you can do it. All of that was lost, and so we lost all of that in the build up to it, and so it didn't feel like what it should feel like, and that's all down to the fans, I think.
Yeah, you put that quite beautifully, actually. I was just thinking, when you're talking about families and friends, Alan Wynne-Jones as well, 149, and not able to have his...
But mate, what world do we live in where there's only a few hundred people there in a 20,000 seater stadium, and we cannot allow him and his family to be sat in a box? But anyway,
it's sort of a metaphor for 2020, really, isn't it? What's been most fun for you? I mean, you obviously have got so much going on, but what have you really enjoyed over the last 12 months? Give us something positive and exciting and heartwarming. It doesn't have to necessarily be rugby related or sports related. Have you got other things going on? I saw you getting rinsed on Question of Sport the other day. You've had all sorts of bits and bobs. Yeah. I just love positive stories. I wonder whether there's anything else you've been doing which you've been really enjoying.
What I've really kind of got to grips with is like looking at the game and how we can grow the game. And I think when you've had so much time off, it gives you so much time to reflect on things, and not just yourself and what I can do work-wise, just thinking about bigger picture stuff. And I think there's a real opportunity with the England team we have and with how successful we are at the moment. Hey, we've got the men's team as Six Nations champions. You've got the Red Rose who are back-to-back Grand Slam winners. We've got Exeter Chiefs who are European champions. We've got Bristol Bears who are Challenge Cup winners. Like, our game at the moment in this country is we're doing okay. We're doing okay. And I'm thinking we have got great opportunities to be able to connect the elite game with the grassroots game. The grassroots have never needed the elite more than they've ever needed us now. And we've never needed the grassroots than we've needed them now. Not just for today, because today we're doing okay, but the game won't exist if we don't have grassroots clubs, if we don't have young boys and girls playing, if we don't have young men and women coaching, if we don't have young men and women going out there being advocates for our game. And I think we have a great opportunity to do that now. COVID has exposed lots of bad things in our game, but it's also exposed and amplified lots of good things about it. And it's how you can really foster all those good things and then actually turn it into a sustainable model for our games. I'm really, really passionate about looking at our game and making it sustainable, enjoyable, getting more people involved in our game, and actually changing the way we look and feel about our game. Because I think that's the number one challenge. If we can look at our game differently, it will feel different and it can have a far greater impact.
Who are you doing that with, out of interest? Are you building a little team?
I'm doing a lot of work with the RFU, chatting quite closely. I've got a call with them after this, in fact, just talking about it, because I don't know, I kind of think, Alex, we're going off on tangents.
That's what the people want.
I kind of think either accept rugby for what it is, and it's great, but then you also lose the right to ever complain about the sport again, or you dig in and you try and help make it better and speak up about it. And A is really easy. That's the easy option because our sport's fine. I've just displayed and spoken about how great it is, but we can do a lot more, and that's the hard work, but I think we can do a lot more.
That's very exciting. And I think there'll be a lot of people who watch this and listen to this will be fascinated to see, how you take it forward and how potentially they might be able to help. Watch this space. That sounds very exciting. So just a sort of quick final thought on hopes for the next, when are we going to get Twickenham 82,000 and a whole load of, the fireworks and that goosebump moment when the team walks out? I dread to think, but what are your hopes for the next 6-12 months?
I think we need to look at this team in almost two cycles. I think we've got the England team from now up until the Lions tour, and I think there'll be a new team beyond the Lions tour. If you look at Eddie Jones historically, going into the World Cup up till 2017 and a half, there was a lot of guys within that team, Dylan Hartley, Chris Robshaw, Danny Kerr, Mike Brown, that all part of that team. And then we had this exodus, and then he brought in some new blood. And I think post-Lions tour, and that feels like quite a landmark moment in lots of people's lives, where the motivation to dig in to get to 23 may dissipate a little bit. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of young, uncapped players being given opportunities over the next 12 months. And I think we'll see more of that post the Lions tour, if it goes ahead. So that's kind of my hope. I would like to see an expansion on our attacking rugby. The game against Italy was clinical, but nothing more than that. But then if you listen to Eddie Jones, and he says lots of things, and lots of things I think you've got to ignore, but some things really linger with me. And he said, the hardest discipline on the rugby pitch is tactical discipline. And so when I saw that Italy game, I saw lots of box kicking. That's one of the hardest games, I think, in the Six Nations, to keep your tactical discipline. It's easy against Ireland because you know what you need to do. Wales, you know what you need to do. Italy could look like a Barbarians game quite easily, where there is no shape. And I shouldn't mention Barbarians. You're laughing. You're a bad man, because I know what you're thinking. But it could lose its structure and its meaning. And if England are trying to find their identity in USP, they won't win the World Cup by trying to beat New Zealand or South Africa. They will do it by being England. And by England, I think it's set piece, defence, and I think they have to have the best tactical discipline in the world. And I think we saw some of that against Italy. Maybe that's my excuse for them playing boring rugby, but either way, it's kind of working at the moment.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Crossed. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Absolutely. I think I think the rust was inevitable. I think that you're absolutely right. It's a tricky old game, but hopefully we'll get something that just a few weeks that builds and builds and builds as we go into this Autumn Nations Cup. I think everybody wants something to.
Who won't? So someone like Jack Willis, he's Premiership Player of the Season, as voted by the players. Give him a go. Ollie Lawrence has been like gagging for a game. No Manu Tuilagi, give him a go. I'd quite like to see a team without a George Ford and Owen Farrell. What does it look like? Expose them. Who's the leader? Let's find them. Let's give them caps. Let's expose them in a tournament with, there is a trophy, but not a meaningful trophy, although they're meaningful matches. Like, get rid of strip the team full of some of its leaders, and let's find out who these new men are. Like, that's, for me, I'd love to see what that looks like. I mean, last week's game was the first game that George Ford has missed in the Six Nations since 2014.
Is it really?
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So let's see what this England team can look like without leaning upon Owen Farrell or Ben Youngs' 100 caps or Jamie George's 50 caps, and give them a go. Let's get them problem solving at test match level.
Yeah, good. Who's going to win the Autumn Nations Cup?
England will. England will, I think. It's France were the best team in the Six Nations. England got the trophy. But I think England will. I think in key matches, although I think France played the best rugby, England just have the know-how how to beat them. If you get the best of France and you get the best of England, I think England just know how to win a bit more. France can give you those moments of magic which break the game up, but England are very good in an arm wrestle. A lot of international rugby is about who can stay in the fight for the longest, and England are pretty good at that.
Good on you. The family back.
Let's
Oh,
Ruby, give me Ruby.
I was about to say we'll give you a bit of time because you can enjoy the peace and the quiet, but I won't say that now that Mrs. Monnier and Ruby have returned.
Give me
home.
Ruby. The people want to see Ruby. Well, they don't actually. They could care less, really. Couldn't care less what I'm saying, but they'd probably be more interested in what Ruby's got to say.
Yeah, it'll be a lovely note on which to end. We'll let you go, Hughes. You've got parenting duties to do. Lovely to chat. Keep well, and good luck with the new. With the developments and the progress. We'll watch that with real interest. I hope that.
Cheers, mate. enjoy Bermuda. You're looking stunning.
I will try my hardest. I will do my very best. Lovely to chat, and we'll just sort of finish by saying thank you to everyone at England Rugby Travel for your support in these really tricky times. You are desperate to get back in the stadiums. Broadcasters are desperate for you to come back, and I know the players will be as well. So keep the faith, keep yourselves well, and we'll hopefully catch up again before too long. But thanks for watching, and we'll be back in touch very soon. All the best until then.
Take care.